What was your biggest weakness that you had to overcome as you started to grow up, studying martial arts, living in the modern world, and then becoming, a teacher, a student in the temple? What was the biggest inner enemy that you faced and overcame, or you're still in the practice of overcoming?
It seriously is still the 5 hindrances, because it is just something common.
Yeah.
So, for example, one of the next hindrances is laziness.
Yes.
Very easily. The lack of energy, meaning you have great ideas, you have great plans, all of this, but the spark to put you under fire is just not there.
Why do so many people lack the spark to act, to launch, to build momentum, to be consistent? Why do so many people lack that energy, desire, and stay lazy or dull?
I think it's a combination of the way of life people have lived before and the lack of vision, what lies in front of them. So both of these things. So what I mean by that is, not always it's just like let's say, the physical appearance of that laziness, of that dullness, of that heaviness. It's apparent. But why is it there? And this has so many different variations now when you look into the past. It can really be because of the food that you're eating, because the lack of movement that you're having, because of your habits, whatever type of habits it is, that caused you to now end up in that body, which is at the moment pretty inefficient.
Yes.
To generate fire. I have to say, sometimes in my spare time, I like to build engines.
Really?
Yeah, I build engines. I build race engines. And there, for me, if I look at it, I really like that similarity. You want that engine to perform well. One of the things that then normally needs to be optimized is, number one, airflow, the intake, and then also the amount of the air that gets in there, the quality of it. That's why on the engine we filter it. But now it comes to us. What are you breathing in? How is it with your lung capacity? How much of your lung capacity are you able to really use? How clean are you inside of it? Because what is it eventually that with that oxygen that we are taking in, what is it that you are burning and try to make into energy? There are a lot of things that you can eat and try to burn, but the quality of this energy is very little. There is other food, they have a very, very high amount of energy once you burn them. So that means, of course, these things, that diet has an effect also on the dullness of the body. This is the one thing.
Yeah.
And now looking into the future, well, if you are expecting fast results, this is, if looking out into the world, what comes fast goes fast. And especially something that is changing the status quo of your life, your lifestyle, let's say. Something that is changing it too quickly. It is like, let's just say, at the moment, I visit you, I see you like this. In 1 month, I come back and you might have 30 kilograms more on muscles. I know whatever you did, it was not good.
It was too fast.
Yeah. Because all these quick changes, also when we look outside sometimes, let's just take the earthquake or the tsunamis or a lightning strike, anything like this, the natural forces. They don't tell you 1 month before that they are coming. The problem is when they come, they very often have this destructive character. Not always, but often. And when it comes now to creating our way of life, when it comes to the transformation of ourselves. At least in my worldview, I take this into consideration, meaning I don't even expect myself to make huge jumps
Quickly.
quickly. Because I just feel like, okay, that might just not be sustainable. That might not just be something that is helpful on the long run. And therefore, to take pressure away from you, make small steps.
Yeah.
And this is what I mean by how far is your view on your future vision of what you want to achieve there.
How far should we be thinking out in terms of our vision or our mission? Is it based on the season of life we're in? You know, if we're 18 years old and we're going to school, we should just be thinking out, you know, the next 4 years. Or should we be thinking out 5, 10, 20 years? Because so much can change so quickly in life and situations. And
Okay. I can only talk about myself. Yes. And I have to say, I'm a dreamer.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm a dreamer and a visionist. A visionaire, probably. I don't know how you call it.
Visionary.
Visionary. My way of seeing this world where I'm embedding in is super huge. That's why, of course, you can always say, yeah, but this is just your imagination. Yeah, yes, which is your most powerful source. Your ability to put something into your own mind where nobody else has impact on. And only you know that day in, day out, you just still walk this path and feel for yourself how it's getting real, because it's unbroken, because there's nobody who can interfere. It's all small things. And probably I can just say that maybe to try it out, okay? Of course, you should not like dream too big, which is like unrealistic, let's say like this. Of course not. But a vision that there is something you can bring out about yourself that this world has not seen yet. This is something which is quite appealing to me. And is therefore also something that I also, let's say, continuously practice and keep on the mind. And now comes the but. Whatever vision and dream you have upon yourself, that you are projecting upon yourself, I do think that you need to have at the same time a commitment. And first of all, for example, the commitment, and what are you going to do with that identity of yours if you're going to get there?
So you mean a commitment of like the daily actions you're going to take that you're committed to, or once you're there, what are you going to do with it?
The commitment now, very clearly, you are creating because you want to help.
To serve,
Yes.
to help others.
Yes. You are not creating any identity of yours in order to harm. Because I think if this is what your initial intention is, then I think the penalty will come.
What if your intention is to only serve yourself, is to look good, to make money for you, to get famous for you, to buy things for you because you want to be successful, but you're not including doing it in the service of other people as well? What happens when it's only about me?
You might reach it in this lifetime, but if you bring this one to an end, or if you continuously go there, not, and in my vision, not only in this lifetime. Yeah?
Yes.
You're going to be lonely. You're going to have everything you want. You're going to have everything that blinks. You have all the reputation. It's all great. Everything you ever dreamt of, you have it. What you don't have is something that gives you real stability. Something that gives you real value in this life.
What is that?
I think it is something that can't be taken off from you. I think it is the connection to other fellows. It's a connection to people, to humans, to animals, to this world, and ultimately the connection of this life. And what happens with this person if he only lives this way of life? He's going to repeat himself. Repeat. Why repeat? Or what do I mean by repeating? No, now I jump a little bit, but sometimes this life seems to me is like a video game. And if you're at level 1 and continuously fail at level 1, you're never going to move up to level 2 and get into touch with the next challenges of life. So if somebody is still stuck on the material level of wanting this and that, so really materialistic. So this is really the basic plane. This is a very, very basic plane. This is like level 1. Sometimes it's necessary. You need to have it first. And then your relationship towards these things starts to shift. And suddenly you find yourself that now it's not these things anymore that start to matter to you. Now suddenly, since you're in level 2, now you're starting to ask yourself, okay, now it's not material things anymore, but I love my wife, I love my husband, I love my children, I love my dog, I love the jobs, I love my employees, but they are getting sick, they are starting to die away. This is now starting in level 2 to trouble you. So now it's the time, figure out a way, how do you walk through this lifetime, figuring out these challenges of life, that our ancestors lost people. Our future generations are going to lose beloved people. It's nothing new. How do you learn, despite the fact of that is existing? How can you still find something about yourself to still keep going, stay strong, and still keep going and supporting and helping despite of these things? And then maybe level 2, you manage to find a way for yourself. And then you're going to be exposed to the next type of challenges that this life is giving to you. So what I'm talking about is that I'm not sure if life is getting easier. I just think that you are becoming more mature. You are becoming more skillful in order to tackle the challenges of life. I think this is what ultimately, for me at least, seems to me like this.
Yeah, it's learning to become a better leader for yourself. It's developing these skills, overcoming the challenges so that, I think I heard you say, like, life doesn't get easier, you just get stronger. And you can manage it with more peace and grace as these challenges and pains come to you, right? When do you think is the easiest time in life? When you're younger or when you're older?
When you're younger. Out of just the fact that you have not learned yet and have not been exposed yet to all of these adult ideas of what you are supposed to do with your life.
How do you manage the level that you're at now? I'm not sure what level you're in the video game. Is it level 7 or 28 right now for you? But how do you manage this level where you're stepping into new seasons, new decade, of the material number of the world you're in, the platform that you're building around the world globally? How do you step into that and master it?
I think before we talked about it already a little bit, that within the last 3 years, 4 years, I could really witness in a way how like these type of teachings, or let's say my name, was really spread out into the world, and more people starting to also participate in listening to what is it that is being shared out, for example. And at the same time, I can also feel that everything I have to say, everything that I like shared, the reason why I could share all of these things is because the first 35 years before that, I was not the talker at all. There couldn't be any more quiet person than me. Yeah, so I was
Really?
yes.
Until when? When did you start using your voice?
I think it happened in the moment where people asked me to explain what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so, and then I just said, look, I'm not just doing like my punch. This is not punching for me. So in the martial art, for example, I started to explain, for example, the punch is not just for me something, let's say, physical. It has also something to do, what are you doing to prepare inside of you before you throw out that punch? Because if you throw out something, if something moves outwards, the question for me is, where does it get in? Because if you throw out punches, 500 punches every day, you just throw them out, where do you get the energy from to throw 500 things out? And now, different ways how you can express it, but for me, coming from this field of martial arts, where the yin-yang symbol does matter, and also does matter why it is around, means for me, I started to explain. If you want to throw a punch, there are different ways how to throw it. If you have a lot of mass already on yourself, you probably can just use straight line movements, no issue at all. But if you look at me, small Asian, I have to compensate for the lack of mass somehow. And therefore, I need to use another method. I need to use different methods to compensate for the lack of mass that I have in comparison to other people. So, and suddenly out of a question, how do you punch, starts the talking discussion. Yeah. And honestly, I think this is where the beginning lies, where then people found it interesting that apparently there's a whole philosophy just behind like a punch. And I said, yes.
How did you, I can resonate with the fact that, you know, you were shy most of your life, right? You didn't speak that much up, you didn't use your voice as much, you were more introverted with your voice, is that correct?
Yes.
So how did you have the confidence and learn that skill of confidence to use your voice when you really didn't use it that much beforehand? Were you fearful? Were you nervous? Were you afraid? Or how did you step into that?
I just had to laugh right now because I just imagine in my mind there were very often, also now in school time already, of course my friends, they were standing in the break time, everybody having discussions. And I was always quiet.
Yeah.
But internally, I could already like feel like I knew what I would say if I would open my mouth.
But
it's just that I didn't.
Why not?
Because ultimately I just thought that it's pointless. It's pointless because sometimes the topics are just
right. It's superficial or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't bring benefit to it,
Yeah.
to anything. Yeah. It's just meaning maybe that you are like profiling yourself, but that was it. Yeah. So that's why I kept it for myself. But internally, observing people, watching, just listening, inside of me, the language was always speaking. I always knew like what would be my answer if somebody speak to me like this.
Sure.
And so ultimately, I really think it was for me not difficult at all to then, when I was asked, to just let it out.
Say it, yeah.
Because I already had it inside. I just had to, let's say, allow my mouth to speak it out. You can continuously pre-condition your mind that your feelings are going to follow in this direction. Or you precondition your mind in general towards people around you, towards this world in a completely different way as well.
In an empowering way.